Today we have a lot of random things to do in the garden. It's just that time of year where you're cleaning, managing, harvesting, and also bumping a few things up, kind of preparing a few things to bring into the greenhouse for the winter. I know that sounds crazy and far away, but this is the time of year that we start potting things into bigger pots. So that way when we move them into the greenhouse, they're a little bit larger and we can enjoy them a little bit more. It creates more of like that, little winter getaway in the greenhouse. So when you have larger plants, it makes it feel more like this garden oasis on the inside. So it gives it like a couple more months of this summertime to allow it to grow a lot bigger. We have longer days of sun, so that's kind of what I mean by getting things ready for that for winter. I know that winter's far away, there's still fall in between, but this morning I was walking around and I could start feeling like the small little signs of fall, and I love fall time. Now don't get me wrong, I love summertime. I enjoy this season. I love it. I don't wish it to go any faster, but you can't ignore the little signs, like the sound of the cicadas, the wet dew, cold grass in the morning, the smells, the Queen Anne's lace coming up everywhere. It's so gorgeous. It's my favorite part of summertime is when Queen Anne's lace is just everywhere. It looks so dainty and magical, and it looks like fairies are gonna pop out in the back garden areas, and that's where we let it kind of just go wild, and it's so beautiful and peaceful back there. We're just gonna have a good little Sunday today. The girls are still sleeping. They did a camp out with their cousins the night before, and they stayed up until like 1 o'clock in the morning, so that's why they're sleeping in this morning. But I gotta go pick some beans, get some of those picked before it gets too hot. We've got a lot of beans ready, and then we'll can those. We canned some pickles. We did a community post earlier, and so we kind of explained what we're doing with canning, and we're doing a lot more canning this year, and we kind of talked about why in that post and everything. And we've always canned and froze all of our food. It's always been important. We're spoiled by the taste of our own homegrown food, so it's really hard in the winter here in Wisconsin to go to the grocery and get produce that's shipped in from somewhere else. It has like no flavor. It does not taste good. So when you can and freeze your goods or cold storage certain items, it's like a delight in the middle of winter. It's like tasting your garden in the middle of winter, and that's what I absolutely love. And last year I actually did no canning and no freezing, and I missed that over the winter. I don't know why I didn't do it. I think I was just kind of, I don't know, I just didn't have it in me last year. I don't know, I was kind of sick of all of it. I was kind of just, I was in a different time in my life. I know that was only a year ago, but there was a lot of other internal growth going on at that moment. So I made more time for different things like that, and made more time for educating myself on some new plants and other things like that. But this year is one of those years that you don't want to skip. I know that there's been a lot of fear put around, the food shortages and things to come in the winter. And, I think if we've learned anything in these past 2 years that we've all seen and have been through, that is that anything is possible. But we don't live in fear. We're also not naive. So, we always want to make sure that we have something ready. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You can a ton of stuff, and then you have a lot left over that can last you till the next gardening season. But if you don't have anything ready, and it's not meaning that you have to be like this prepper, be in fear and all this, it's just, I think it's a good time to get to know how to can, how to freeze, how to harvest and keep things from your garden. There's no better time to learn. If anything, this time has taught us to kind of go back to becoming more sustainable and self-sufficient, and not relying on so many of these systems, and just kind of, living out your life and do what you need to do in order to support and feed your family. And there's so many different farm stands that you can support right now. farm stands are going to be way tastier than a grocery produce, you know. Back in the day, we used to only be able to eat food that was ready at that time. And we never had melon in winter time. We didn't have melon in winter time, you know? So we're kind of spoiled now, but it never tastes like how it does right now, you know? Like when it's being ready in your garden, well, probably will be ready more in like 3-4 weeks. But it never tasted like how it does directly from your garden. So all I'm saying is, you know, maybe start using your garden in more ways. Maybe start, you know, canning, learning how to can and freeze. And if anything, it's teaching you a good life skill. These are the skills that are just kind of, you know, they were just kind of dropped off and left behind, you know, and they need to be picked back up, learned, and if anything, it's just good to grow your own. So that's all I'm saying. All right, let's get going for the day. I feel like I'm talking too much, but I think it's very important to talk about this. I know that our channel is a getaway for a lot of you, and creating the videos is a getaway for us too. Our garden is a getaway, and we want to be able to share that piece of feeling of peace and calmness and just being more connected to what's around you in present time and nature. You know, enjoy God's park here. But I also think it's important to talk about what everyone's going on. I've been told before to stay in my lane, but I think this is in everyone's lane now. Everyone's experiencing these things, everyone's seeing these things, and there's no longer a moment where we can deny anything that's going on. It's like right in our faces. So, you know, preparedness is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So, well, let's get going. There's a plane about to go over. I had a little fly there. Plane about to go over to interrupt me, and then we'll get started with our day. We have the sprinklers on all of our gardens. We haven't had a lot of rain here. For some of you that are new, we're from Wisconsin. We're in zone 5. So our growing season isn't super long, but we tend to take the growing season into the greenhouse during the winter. This is our Playset Gardens. So the kids' play set is over here, and it's amongst gardens, and we're still kind of designing more and adding more like gardens and trees and stuff around this area, but one step at a time, because it takes a lot of work to do these projects on your own, and it takes money, so you got to spread it out. This garden we put in last fall. Actually, we planted it, I think, the first week in October. So, or second week in October. So we are cutting it really close. So I'm really grateful that about 90%, 95% of all of the perennials in here came back. So we did add some cool natural seeding here. My friend lives in the woods, and they had this gorgeous water washed log. So we brought that here, and it's got perfect seating to watch the kids. I love the anise hyssop along the background here. It's in full bloom now. A couple weeks ago, it was all this beautiful hot pink phlox. And we've got some of the echinaceas. I think that's the Lakota fire right there. Those are in blossom. We had some random sunflower seed on their own over here. Most likely dropped in by the birds, but I let them go because I figured then that way they'd add a cute little feature in this garden, which they definitely do. This is actually a pretty large garden. And then over on this side of the play set, we have all just Russian sage. I wanted just like solids over here, and they'll be even bigger by next year. This is, you know, they were also planted later. And I want to add like a really cool tree here. Not a shade tree, but something unique, like a really unique one. And I have one in mind that I would love to place there. But I love creating like their play space amongst the gardens. It just, you know, makes them feel more like they're in like this magical garden or magical forest as we continue to add those trees. And I like sitting out here now too. Russian sage is actually one of my favorite perennials. I love it. It gets so huge and gorgeous. And what's really nice about it is that it's drought tolerant, so you don't have to constantly water it all the time. And then over here is another log to sit. So this is part of that same log, but we split it in half in order to like get it over here on a trailer. So it's nice to have some seating on it. So pretty. Look how gorgeous this is. I love natural pieces. Like when I look at pieces of wood like this, I just feel like so inspired and energetic. I can't explain it. It's like this energetic feeling I get from it. It just, you know, anything that inspires and spikes your creativity is definitely invigorating. And from this angle, you can see how we designed this. So that way it's perfect for a tree to go right in the middle, because they both kind of zoom out and kind of like curve in there. So that's where the tree is supposed to go, right here. So I've been getting the itch to create. And when I get the itch to create, I know something really cool can come out of it. But I've been really having troubles and have been struggling with like where to place that creativity. I've been wanting to place it in my garden, and usually we do more projects. I mean, in the beginning we did this large garden here, which I mean isn't gonna look great right now, obviously. If you can see, we just had a sprinkler on it yesterday, but it needs a year or 2 years pretty much to really settle in and to really like grow. Like with perennials, it takes 2 to 3 years to really mainly 3 to really have like this crazy awesome garden. But I think my creativity is going to be placed into a garden project, because like I was saying, we did that garden project this year. We did the bunny enclosure this year. And I know that's already 2 really large projects, but we did them early on, and usually we kind of like stretch our projects out a little bit, and I'm feeling like I want to do another project, and normally we would, but we've been kind of like trying not to spend as much money on the garden right now this year, just to kind of, you know, save a little money. You know, with Jason's business, he's a home builder, and with, you know, the way the economy kind of is right now, you know, it's just one of those markets to where you don't want to just be like, you know, spending money on things that aren't necessities. And we already have this beautiful space. And really, when is enough enough? So I'm not looking to do this huge project, you know, like my pond project right now, you know, which is something I have in the works. But that's down the road, you know. But I'm just looking to do something that's, you know, not something that's going to require Jason to do a lot, because he's already like super busy and stuff. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's been more so me kind of working the channel this year rather than like us as a duo, even though we are a duo in everything we do, but he's been having to put more time and effort into what he's currently doing that supports our family. And there's been so many planes lately. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes makes you wonder. Anyways, now that that thing passed, what the heck is that in the grass? Okay, so I think that was just 2 little chipmunks playing. From afar, it almost looked like a snake head kind of whipping in and out, because I only saw like the tail. It's not a snake, thank goodness. Here in Wisconsin, we don't have like totally icky snakes. Like that's one good thing about living in Wisconsin, is we don't have like a ton of like huge poisonous, you know, bugs and reptiles and all of that kind of stuff, you know. So that I am grateful for, because I would probably be freaking out every single day, and I would be like screaming in every single video. So this is my view out here. It's so pretty. And another plane. It's all of these small little planes all the time. It's really annoying. all of the air traffic has been really frustrating, and it kind of takes away from the peacefulness of everything that we've created here. And I don't really know what's going on with all of that, or if air patterns are changing, or why there's so many little like planes and helicopters and like jets. And we keep seeing like these really large like military helicopters too that like ride super low, and they're like loud for like miles. You can hear them from miles away. And it almost feels like it's shaking the ground when they go over. It's really weird. Not that those come over every day. I'm not saying those come over every day. That's like once a month you'll see it. But it's just kind of crazy and strange, you know, when we're trying to just figure all of this out. And, you know, we've always called this our forever home and our forever property, and I do see that we are staying here and raising our kids, and you know, we've got our family around here, but they're starting to feel the same way too, you know. Sometimes you start getting this feeling that there may need to be a change, possibly a move in the future, not near future, but you know, we're the type that like, you know, complete stillness and quietness, and if a move is what's gonna help us get that, then that might eventually be something that we do. But not right now, obviously. And our plan and goals with our property are still in place, with continuing to grow it and build it up so that way we can open it up and do fun things and all of that. But you know, you kind of have to go by what's best for you and your family. And don't get me wrong, I'm truly grateful. I'm completely connected to our land. It's been in my family like forever, and there's a deep attachment. But when things start changing around you, those are the tough decisions you sometimes have to make. Look at now, another little plane coming. This is the third year now that we've noticed it. Every year it keeps continuing to become more and more and more. It's insane. So I'm planting up that eucalyptus like I told you I was going to do for the greenhouse. And as you can see, I've been kind of putting more than one in there. I want them to be really full plants. If they outgrow these pots, I'm just gonna bump them up into something even larger for the greenhouse. So I'm hoping that they root in here really nice, and then we bump them up once before bringing them into the greenhouse during winter. So these were bumped up into these 6.5 inch pots. So that's what I'm bumping up here. I still have a lot in these smaller cells here. Sorry for the background noise, but Jason's mowing the lawn. So we're gonna use some of these to fill in some of those pots, and I just add 2 extras. In this one, I'm gonna actually add a poly eucalyptus, which is a larger leaf. And then I'm gonna add another neglecta, because that's the kind that's in here. I was gonna do a hybrid, but try not to do too many kinds in one. And then I'm just gonna add these in spaces where it looks like it needs fullness right now, but it'll grow out. I like this poly, so I'm gonna actually put it right over here on this end here. I'm gonna put an additional neglecta right there. And that's how it looks. So do I think that there needs to be additionals added when you bump these up? No, I do not. But I've never done it this way before, where I've intermixed kinds. So I just wanna see how this does in the greenhouse. I do it with everything else we grow, you know, I create the container gardens, so why not make container gardens with all different varieties of eucalyptus? And these are all larger growing varieties. Here's the lemon eucalyptus. Even just moving around the leaves, you can just smell the smell of citronella coming off of it. Now we're obviously not going to bump all of these up. Some of these we have been actually selling, but I just want to get a few larger pots ready so that way they're nice and rooted. So Once it is time to move back into the greenhouse for the season, we have some larger eucalyptus, because all of the larger eucalyptus that I do have growing in the garden, not the ones in individual pots, but the ones that I actually planted into the garden, those I'm not digging out. Those I'm just going to clip and harvest for oils and hydrosols and for my aromatherapy sprays and other things that we're going to create with them.